some viewers, you might not like me on this one. But yeah, if you can pull your head out of your ass and get over the whole Martha thing, you will realize how Superman saying what he says to Batman in that moment is what brings Batman back down to a sense of morality.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tardy to the Party, aka T3P, where us two hooligans talk shop about the holy trinity: pop culture, Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. I'm your boy Jsib, and joined by, as always,
I'm your co-host KP.
We find ourselves once again continuing this new trek that we are on, the DCEU review in memorial, or SNYDERVERSE review in memorial, however you want to slice it. Technically, you still are in the SNYDERVERSE in my eyes, so whatever you want to call it. We're here, Step 2, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, Ultimate Edition. At least for me. I don't think I've seen the theatrical since the theatrical got. So
Yeah,
KP, we both came off pretty high off of Man of Steel. Yeah, we're not doing non-spoilers and spoilers. Didn't do it for the last one. So just go into your thoughts overall.
Right.
What did you think coming back to Batman v Superman? Held up.
It holds up pretty entertaining, you know. I can't say that. I don't know. I don't know that I want to say I like this one more than Man of Steel. I think it slightly underperforms for me, but the reason I say that too is because on the rewatch, I kind of noticed how I'm not a big fan of Bruce Wayne Batman's like mood jumps. Like in the beginning, it kind of shows that he's really, really angry about like the whole Kryptonian battle with Superman and Zod because it got a lot of people killed. And then as we progress a little, Alfred's trying to plead with him to keep his morality, if you will, and not go down this dark path full of essentially fear. And Bruce seems to at first just kind of play by the typical Bruce Wayne Batman that everyone knows, where he always has a contingency plan for when shit goes down for anyone, whether it's like Superman or I don't know, and other characters, if you will. I just feel like in this movie, it's pretty obvious how Superman is a good guy, and Bruce just is so hell-bent on not trusting him, he just falls down into this hole of, like, wanting to kill him. And I just kind of wanted to pick your brain on what you thought about that, because it really did seem to me how, at first, he was playing the typical card of, like, I just want to have a contingency plan, and there's nothing really ever that's...
Thing.
Okay, so, I mean, OBS crash. Our bad, but...
Our bad, guys.
My point was, I was trying to kind of discuss how usually, Batman does have a contingency plan for everyone. Not just Superman, as we typically see a lot in a ton of DC animated works. But I think if you read the comics, he usually has a contingency plan for just about every other hero that's in the Justice League.
Yeah. One of my favorites is Wonder Woman, because he doesn't have one. I think he has a conversation with Clark, and he's like, "You're the closest thing I have to a contingency plan to her."
Right. Yeah. So it was just interesting how in this movie he just kind of went from having the attitude of like having a contingency plan, and then Superman never really does anything in this movie that would warrant, for Batman to get so hell-bent on wanting to kill him, up until
The
Superman just kind of stopped.
Bat is dead. Bury him.
Up until like that moment. And even in that moment, it was kind of odd that, well, Batman, I guess, didn't try to have any conversation with him. He just
wasn't
kind
a lot of conversating in between. Other than,
right.
No, not really.
Right. Yeah. Like that's the thing is like it just escalates so fast. Like, yeah, we get it, Clark, Kal-El. You're pissed that Batman brands people and then it gets them killed in prison. But the Superman that you know from every other source would at least like kind of have a conversation with Bruce before just threatening the hell out of him and saying like, yeah, the next time they shine your light in the sky, don't go to it. And you know, yeah. And so I'm just the development of getting to our fight night, if you will. I just kind of thought like the motivations between the two of them was just kind of like very out of character. That again, they didn't at least even try to have like a philosophical type conversation before they get to their break. They both are at their breaking point of like Bruce is just hell bent mad on I'm gonna kill this guy because I want to prove that mankind has a fighting chance against Kryptonians. I get that's the whole point. And then Superman, obviously, he just, he has to do what he has to do because of Lex. And it's on Lex, too. That's the thing about the Ultimate Edition of why you need to watch the Ultimate Edition. Because if you watch the theatrical edition, the whole plot line with Lex. Yeah, with the whole plot line with Lex just makes no sense, and there's no like. I mean, you get you do get the reasoning behind classic Lex Luthor of what he wants to prove, that Superman is not this almighty good person. But the story of it all is just a lot. The 20 extra minutes, I think, is what we get in the Ultimate Edition. And it has the character from, I think, Africa that is completely cut out in the theatrical cut. Like she's not even, I don't even think, a credit source.
No,
yeah, you need to watch. Yeah, you need to watch the Ultimate Edition because that whole extra amount of time given to that plot line does at least help it all kind of flow a lot better and make a lot more sense. I mean, that's why when the Ultimate Edition came out, it was just like with, the movie we're going to have in probably 2 weeks of, again, like, yeah, this was a whole lot better than the theatrical that you released, so.
I agree.
That's really all I had, though, on it. I mean, again, that's just kind of why, like, I can't really put this movie above Man of Steel, and I'm not saying it's way lower, but I just enjoy Man of Steel a lot more.
I'm with you. I'm just trying to find.
However,
I'm with you.
No,
I don't think this is good as Man. I think it's
right,
decently close. As far as like the whole confrontation between them and the avoidance of it, I guess. I think the idea is Superman's just so busy with kind of getting beat up in the public eye and kind of dealing with Lex's stuff, even though he realizes it's Lex quite yet until the very end. Right. Superman in the comics probably would have found some time to talk it out a little better. But this is a little bit different of a Superman. He's
right, it's all darker.
He's conflicted. Yeah. He's conflicted on if what he's doing is actually really like the right thing, because Lex is getting kind of, well, there's always been that hint of, I mean, you got the person from Wayne Industries that doesn't like Superman either because he lost his legs. With Batman and his portrayal, because this was, well, depending on who it's weird. I feel like people didn't like the portrayal of Batman in this. The whole no kill clause things trilogy.
Hmm.
What I think people need
I
to
like
realize.
how you very correctly clarified that. Sorry. Yeah, guys. Hey, it turns out if you watch Batman from the '90s, guess what? He
Well,
kills people.
even in like comics, he does like he brutally like at least like maims people like to where they're never gonna function the same ever. At the very least, they're not the same person. But
Dark
especially
Knight,
in
like he
this
does
take,
that. He does that to one of the what
but in
Falcone? Yeah,
this
one of them.
this
Not Falcone,
particular iteration
the other gangster.
of Batman is from The Dark Knight Returns. This Batman, the 30th anniversary
Yeah.
edition. There's a specific shot in the movie that is this fucking cover, basically. I was trying to find in my normal one that had the one panel because I know people want a bit that he has like a gun in this or uses a gun in this. There's literally a panel in this book where he bursts through the wall and uses a henchman's gun against. Like this Batman is brutal. He is broken. He doesn't give a fuck in this graphic novel. Ironically enough, he fights Superman.
I could have got it signed, but he wanted $80, and at that point, I spent way too much on other people.
So, Batman's going to be quite different than probably what most people probably familiar, especially in the mainstream. So as far as that goes, it makes sense to me. We're drawing inspiration from The Dark Knight Returns. This Batman is very grizzled. He's older. He's broken.
The other thing too that they took directly, I think, from Dark Knight Returns was the scene where he's on top of the crane with the sniper rifle to shoot the tracking
that was
bug.
another panel I was trying to find too.
I was
where
say,
he literally
yeah,
has the sniper rifle with the tracking bug.
Yeah, that's legitimately taken directly from that part. Like that's just part one that I got. It looks like you have the complete story in a book, but yeah.
So for
Sorry about
me,
that.
it makes sense why maybe some people be put off by it, but I mean, if you knew the source material, it makes sense. I think is
exactly
why he is the way he is in this universe, and I like this path because in a way, it's like Superman kind of saves Batman. It's kind of ultimately why I like this movie. Is at the very end of the day, Superman saves Batman's morality and kind of brings him back to not being a broken man. Because in this one, they also show that he's lost his Robin in this universe.
Yeah,
like
how many of them stayed that way is the line, and
so
that's
I mean
a nod to Jason Todd.
And I think that's the greatest sin of this universe is there was so much we never really got to explore and find out about Ben Affleck, Batfleck's Batman mythos and his lore and all of the backstory. And I just, God damn it, if we could have gotten that solo Batman movie with him.
You're kind of just told, like, he's like, yeah, like when he talks to Alfred when he's looking at the fireplace, and he's like, 20 years fighting crime in Gotham just means nothing. And he's like, criminals are just like weeds. It's like you pull one out, another one will just grow in its place. And he's like, this is about legacy with the fight against Superman, and really love that. And like you said, okay, so to your point on the Superman saves Batman in this instance, yeah, that's I'll just kind of be a little strong here. Some viewers, you might not like me on this one, but yeah, if you can pull your head out of your ass and get over the whole Martha thing, you will realize how Superman saying what he says to Batman in that moment is what brings Batman back down to a sense of morality, that Batman realizes that Kal-El, like, well, not exactly at that moment. The pausing is because he has been psychologically traumatized. But then when Lois shows up and says it's his mother's name, that's when Batman's morality is truly saved, and he's like frustrated with himself that he realizes that Kal-El, Superman, grew up on Earth just like everyone else. And then, yeah, their mothers happen to share a name, and it's kind of like what makes him realize how he can't really kill this guy because he, I think, wants to trust that he is completely good. And, you know, he throws the spear in frustration. Again, I will never hate that exchange because it to me is the point where Superman saves Batman's morality.
I agree. What's funny is when I was watching this with Haley, she midway through just goes, "Wait, Batman and Superman's moms are both named Martha," and I just thought, I was like, "Oh, just you wait."
I won't lie, man. I remember when we saw this in the theaters together. You know, 7 years ago or more.
Oh, God.
I remember it wasn't even until that point when it clicked of save Martha, and he just kind of thinks of his mom, and I just go, "Oh my God, shit! I didn't even know their moms both have the same first name." Like, yeah. So so she realized that before that even happens, and you're just like, yeah, just wait for it. That's pretty funny.
But I will always kind of agree with people in a sense of, is it a little cheesy, maybe a little corny? I'll give it to you, but I still think just like the neck snap in Man of Steel, the moment goes over a lot of people's heads, especially if you don't actually. Once again, I don't mean to be this almost elitist guy. I'm just like, well, you don't know the character. It's like, well, Batman's a fucking psycho in the comics. Like, he is psychotic. He's broken. Like, he just is.
Yeah,
he doesn't trust anybody. He just.
Well, I will say, like, reading this Dawn of DC line, I love how it's written to where you get the inner monologue of Batman. And you're right, Jay. He is crazy. And in this current Dawn of DC line, the fuck is the name? Is it Enzura?
I haven't read any of the new stuff, so I have no idea.
Well, long story short, Batman has like this alternate personality that he's created that's basically just Batman. Like, Bruce Wayne is not an existing factor here. But he's crazy, and like the whole point of this is just to back up what you're saying. He is crazy. He totally never trusts anyone completely, except maybe Alfred.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense why.
It just makes sense why.
And there's, I mean, they even kind of set up the Easter egg where it's like literally his dad's last word was Martha. That was his last breath. Essentially, was Martha. Yeah. Why did you say that name? Sorry. So it's like, it's obviously that's probably a very traumatizing moment. So when he hears the name, it just makes sense. Like, yeah, like I'll give people, it's a little cheesy, a little corny, but it's like, it works. Like, it just works at the end of the day. Like, for Batman as a character, and it's like, even when he first says it, he almost gets more angry. He's just like, obviously, why did you say that name? But it's like, because obviously that's like a trigger word for him. Like, right. It was his dad's final word and / breath. I don't know. I feel like it was set up just fine. Like,
well, I mean, Superman says he doesn't just say Martha. He just says you have to save Martha, and he just pauses and he stops and he just goes, "What does that mean?" Like, that's the first thing actually said, other than I get everyone remembers Martha and why did you say that name? I get that because they keep repeating those words, but the beginning of that is important to drive it all home.
I agree. I still like the moment, like you. I just think back then, I think the fun thing to do is just hate on DC. I really think it was like Marvel was the big thing. I mean, the Avengers was already out at this point. I mean, everyone was shit talking them about, oh, they're just trying to play catch up, and it's like, I mean, you're somewhat right, yeah. But like, Jesus Christ, there's more than one way to fucking like skin a cat, if you will. Like, I mean, come on, like, Especially at this point now, it's like, and then
Yeah.
at this point, not to bring up this forbidden name when we're talking about the DCEU, but James Gunn dropped a team-up movie without any previous movies leading up to his people, and nobody even knew who the fuck those characters were to begin with. Because they were a bunch of, like, B and C listers, according to the public eye. Like, nobody knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy was. But, you don't...
Very true.
And I would like to think that the common public's knowledge is smart enough to, you don't need an individual movie for every single goddamn character that's going to show up in a movie. It's like, I don't know. You even got people hating on James Gunn now for Superman Legacy. Well, there's too many characters. It's like, relax. Like,
it does make me worry about that one, but you're right. That, yeah, we need to relax, but I think the reason... Well, I think I've said before, the James Gunn one makes me nervous because it's not that they're... I don't care that there's too many characters. My fear on that is, like, he has a lot of, like, characters in that unless you watch the animated shows or you've read the comics, you're probably going to be like, who? Like Metamorpho. Metamorpho. I think is the name.
Yeah,
the
Metamorpho.
superhero name. Yeah, like Metamorpho specifically is like, no one's going to know who the hell that is.
Don't have to. Don't have to.
Don't have to. Yeah. I mean, you're right, though. You're right, though, with the comparison to Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, that was a team-up movie. No one knew shit about what that was, and people absolutely loved it. So, I don't know. So you're right that it can work.
The one thing that I will never forgive the Warner Brothers marketing team for is spoiling Doomsday in the trailer for... It still just pissed me off. Like, watch this movie. I saw him pop out. I was like, that's right. I forgot this surprise was completely ruined by marketing going into the movie.
Yeah. They were so worried that people weren't going to go see the movie. They were like, well, let's just spoil this twist that this is the real bad guy of the whole thing. And stupid. Yeah, never should have spoiled or ruined that last, like, amazing 20 minutes of the movie or however long it is. I'll say this though about Doomsday in this movie. I don't get why they made him the fucking giant cave troll from Lord of the Rings. Like, why? Like, I understand making him physically bigger than Superman, but they literally made him like a fucking giant, like, mythical creature almost, and it's like, I'm just rewatching it, I'm like, oh, okay, I don't really know that we needed to make him the cave troll. Like,
I'm with you until they luckily fix it midway through the fight, because eventually, I think it's after the nuke when he comes down and he starts tearing off his skin and he actually grows the spikes that he's supposed to have. I'm like, all right, we're at least close enough. The face still isn't correct, but everything else looks good. Good enough.
the face was horrible. I don't
Warner
know.
Brothers reusing assets over there. Like, just pull the Lord of the Rings troll over and we'll put shit on it. Come on, man.
That's gotta be what they fucking said. It has to be, because it legitimately looks like the face is like the same looking face from the CGI trolls from Lord of the Rings.
I agree. There's I don't think you could even dispute it. It's just so clear. Well, I haven't really mentioned yet, actually. What's the, this is the first appearance of Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. Opinions?
I mean, it seems pretty true to, like, source material that she's always kind of, at first, very distant from other heroes and, not very trusting, because it's the world of man that she has to live in. But
is she a fucking badass when she shows up to the fight, though?
Oh. I will admit, every time I do rewatch this, every time when she shows up to the fight, I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. This is about to get awesome. It's about to get awesome. And yeah, I will say this, Snyder did it well. The DCEU did her correct and well, and in this movie they fucking sold you on her. It was awesome.
One of the favorite moments is when she gets knocked back and then she has that smirk on her face and then she grabs her,
Right.
goes back, and I'm like, yep, that's
Yeah.
our woman right there.
I'd say that's the real Wonder Woman that is like addicted to battle and like loves the fight, you know.
At the end of the day, as a warrior.
Yeah. Speaking of all that and her, I've always thought it was. I mean, I understand it's probably because this Doomsday, the DNA it has a DNA mixture of Kryptonian and human, which is why she's able to cut his arm off. I just thought that was always interesting, though. It's just like, well, this thing's Kryptonian, and they can't kill it with a nuke or anything, but an Amazonian Greek sword can cut his arm off. I mean, I understand that.
Oh, that was before Batman actually shot him with the cloud of smoke, wasn't it? Or was it after?
Oh, maybe it was after, and maybe that's what it is then. I didn't pay.
Actually.
I can't remember actually either. You're probably right because that would make sense.
If not, though, if it is the reverse of that, I'll just chalk it up to, well, got a magical sword.
Right.
So yeah,
She
who
does
knows?
have a magical
Hopefully,
and Kryptonians are weak to magic.
Yep. That they are. Lawrence Fishburne's Perry White.
Awesome.
Crispy in this. Love it.
Yeah. Awesome.
I think they give Lois quite a bit to do in this as well. I like how she has her own little story of kind of tracking down this. Well, mainly it's this bullet manufacturer after a certain point, after Jimmy Olsen gets murked. Piss a lot of people off with that, too. I kind of understand, but, I mean, where was Jimmy Olsen going to fit? But,
other than being like Lois is like just always with Lois throughout her whole story, he would just be there as like a side character. Like, how much of a difference would it make? Because he literally would just be standing there. Like, it's Jimmy Olsen. I mean, go read the comics. All the dude ever does is just getting into trouble and then, save me, Superman. It's all that ever happens with the character.
We'll get it
and
in the
spoilers for and spoilers for Dawn of DC. He is dating Silver Banshee, who's like a known fucking villain to Superman and Supergirl. So, but he loves her. Damn it.
Classic Jimmy. Classic Jimmy.
Classic Jimmy. Anyways, I just don't care. I'm like you. I mean, I understand where probably your old school like Superman fans were pissed, but to me, I just am like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, I really don't care. As long as we have Lois, I don't care.
Agreed. And we got Perry White too, so he's more important than
like
Jimmy
said,
in my book.
Yeah, he really is. And like you said, I loved Lawrence Fishburne in this movie. I love Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White in this universe.
It'd be sad to see him not reprise the role, but oh well, he probably got bigger. That goat.
Well, he's getting all, yeah, he's getting all that John Wick money, so.
Okay. Let's see, anything else to really touch? One little small thing I don't like is how Lex kills off, basically lets his assistant die. I don't think he'd ever let that happen in the comics because he means a lot to him in the comics, but
I'm glad you brought it up. I didn't even think of that, but I will say that's one thing every time watching this movie, I'm just like, why the hell did they kill off Mercy Graves?
yeah, it doesn't.
I was like, that's so stupid.
I will probably never like that decision because that would never happen in the comics.
Exactly.
I shouldn't say never. I shouldn't say never. But just very
put it this way,
long
people.
Shot.
In the comics animated show, does Lex always treat her basically like shit? Yes, but he would never ever put her in direct danger to die because he needs her.
Yeah,
she's
knows
basically
he needs
like
her.
Yeah, she's basically always his contingency plan to like keep his agenda going when he's in prison or like get him out of jail free card. Like she's very important to him, and I absolutely am with you that I fucking hate that they killed her. Stupid. And I won't lie.
We're kind of
I
like the
know-
classic Superman fans right now. Like, didn't smile enough,
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
but we're just like,
Yeah.
Lex would never.
We're all like, yeah, the hero can be different, but the villain, like, no, that's wrong. It's just wrong. Yeah, that's pretty funny. That you're totally right. We are being that way, but
God
I don't
damn it,
know.
we're
I
right.
mean, and call me biased because I just wanted more of Mercy Graves in the movies and the universe, really.
Same.
Because she doesn't really do a whole lot in this movie either. But Lex, though, in this movie, I understand it's a young Lex Luthor. I know when the movie came out, a lot of us were like, oh, he was trying to be like Heath Ledger's Joker. When I rewatch it now, I get more of the sense that he's trying to be like Jim Carrey's Edward Nygma.
I always got more Riddler vibes from him than Joker vibes, as
Yes.
far as that comparison goes.
So that's the other thing about this, that, again, I understand this is a young Lex Luthor. That's the point of this portrayal. Hence why he has the red hair. And if you
I
argue
love that they
about
gave
how
him the
he
red
has-
hair, though. I love that they actually went with it and gave him the red hair to start off.
Yeah. And anyone out there who's like, oh, it's Lex is always a bald guy. No, he's not. And two, Google Lex Luthor in the very original Superman 1 from 1978, I think. You just look at Gene Hackman for one frame. Shocker.
Shocker.
Anyways, I just more was not a fan of Lex Luthor in this because he was just so much like the Riddler. It seemed like it just seemed like he was like he was basically, it's like he would have been a great performance as like the Riddler in a Batman movie. That's just my opinion on it all.
I would agree. I don't love the casting of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex. I
just don't
after
like,
a certain
I don't know that I
post-credit
don't like-
scene where I think it's after the Justice League, where he shows up, I'm like, I don't hate, granted it's a small snippet, but I was like, I didn't hate that. I was like, maybe, because at the very end, he's obviously like really crazy, and he's like, ding, 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 ring, ding, 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 the bell's already been rung or whatever, so it's like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe we can get
He's
our
coming.
normal Lex after he's not possessed by Steppenwolf and Darkseid anymore. Like, some people
And I
like to
think that's
chalk
what
it
that
up
end credit
to
scene in
that.
Justice League is supposed to like sell you.
And that version of Jesse's Lex, I would have liked to seen more of, but at the end of the day, I never was super crazy about the casting.
Yeah.
But
Oh, I remember when it was announced, I was like, why?
Yeah.
You know?
and he actually looks pretty decent when he's got his head shaved as Lex. Like, but
Right.
I don't know. Would have been nice to see if he could have pulled it off eventually. But yeah, I'm with you. He felt more Riddler than Lex Luthor. There were some nice Luthor touches in there that they kind of sprinkled in there, but just the way he portrayed it was classic Jesse Eisenberg. Like, I couldn't help but just think that I was just watching Jesse Eisenberg still. So I'm with you. That's a negative for me as well, unfortunately. But
True. What are you gonna do?
are we missing anything? We kind of.
Oh.
I mean, we got the death of Superman. What was? I know that was to people like way too early back in the day, and I was like, well, they brought out Doomsday though, so I had to.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, I remember back then thinking, like, when you got out of the movie, you're just kind of like, well, shit, I didn't know he was gonna put in Death of Superman in this too. Like, you kind of thought the whole thing was gonna be Dark Knight Returns, and then yeah, we just threw in Doomsday at the end, and they're gonna stop him. Yeah, but I didn't realize, like, no one kind of saw the whole Death of Superman moment coming. It was like, oh. wait, where's this universe going then?
Yeah.
Like,
Haley was
yeah.
like, she's like, Superman can't die, right? Like he's not dead. And I was like, well, no, he's
Well,
dead.
he's
No,
kind
no,
of
he's
he's
dead.
kind of dead.
Even though the ending of the movie doesn't clearly say that, we forget about that though, because in the next movie he's dead.
I was gonna say that part, that little tidbit is so stupid because in the next movie it's like, no, he's very much dead. It's
It's like
like,
he's not in hibernation. He's dead.
wacky Zacky, what are you doing?
Yeah, I feel like
You
something
gotta
changed there with
think.
that plan.
You gotta think.
Which I wonder if that's
Uh,
because early in the production of Justice League, Zack Snyder had posted an image of the black and silver suit on, I don't know if it was Instagram at the time or whatever, but he posted a picture of it. So everyone was like, oh yeah, we get in the black suit. He's just hibernating. He's just got to get in the suit and be put in front of the sun. He'll come back. And then Justice League came out, and it's like, and it's the same way in the Snyder cut. Oh, he's just dead.
just
He's just
I was
dead.
gonna say, I mean, it's the same thing in the Snyder cut. So
Which the only thing I can chalk it up to is that even when he was making it, if it would have been his vision, they were saying no to the black suit. And after everything went down, they're like, all right, fine, we'll let you do the fucking black suit. So I feel like he probably had to change his storyboard when he was originally filming, and then after all the debacle, he was just like, well, I put the suit and made him these colors so that I can just easily go back and just chroma change everything to be the black and silver suit. So I'm gonna fucking do it. But did originally. That's my headcanon. But
okay.
I think we've hit all the main stuff. We ready for ratings, I guess?
Yeah, why not?
All right, KP. What you got for it?
I give it, for me, a 7 out of 10, but I feel like that's being slightly generous.
Hmm.
Slightly. Like, I want to say 6.5, but I feel like I shouldn't. I think it still deserves at least a 7.
Damn. Or me on this bad boy.
Yeah. Hey, well, I said, I mean, I won't lie, I don't remember what I gave Man of Steel, but like I said, I mean, before we even started really getting into it, I was like, I like this one, but it's not as up as Man of Steel is for me. So yeah.
Yeah, I gave Man of Steel a 9. This one, I do really enjoy this movie. I think my original rating for this was like an 8.3 back in the old days.
But now that you've rewatched it,
Rewatched it. One thing I will say, I still prefer the Ultimate Edition, but I do think it feels a little long in the tooth. And that is even me comparing it to the Snyder cut of Justice League, which is 4 hours. And I don't feel that way, except for that one scene that I would definitely cut 15 seconds of, but we will get to that when we review that. This movie, though, sadly does feel a little long in the tooth for me. So
yeah,
I feel like I got to kind of dock it there. There's so much for me. I feel like the more critic side of me wants to give it like a 7 and a 7.5, but there's just a part of me as a fan, for especially with the nods to the Dark Knight Returns and all that. I like this more brutal Batman. I know that's not what everybody else likes. I think this the warehouse scene. We didn't even talk about the warehouse scene. The literal best fucking Batman fight scene in all of cinema. The top tier.
It really is.
It is now it's the bar now. You gotta reach it.
Literally, that scene was like, you could tell Zack Snyder played the Arkham Batman video games and was like, I'm gonna put that in a fucking movie, and he did, and it was awesome. Because the best part about that, and the reason I say that, is because like, you literally do this in those video games where when he blasts the hole through the floor and then he jumps up to the ceiling and none of them see him because of the smoke, and then he throws all the electrical charges on their guns. Like, that is textbook out of all of the Arkham games. You do that all the time, and he just zaps them all. I was like, this is fucking Batman. That's the true.
The grapple
truest
hook
portrayal
into
of it.
the get over here into the fucking punch, dude. Dude, this scene is so fucking awesome.
Again, like it legitimately watching it, you're just like, this is the Arkham video game fights like come to life in this scene. And yes, I agree. It's the best Batman scene in cinema history.
Even just like the lead up to it when he's in the Batwing and then Alfred's got to take over in the autopilot and he's like, we're on the 3rd floor. I'll drop you off at the 2nd. And then he just gets out and then jumps off of it, busts through the glass of the classic wings open type shit.
Yeah.
Well, the cape, but looks like the wings.
Right.
The chef's kiss of that whole fucking scene. It's the best. I'm still going to stick at an 8. I don't care. I'm way higher than you. I still love this movie. I love this universe. Until they ruin. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with an 8. This universe was still right up my fucking alley up to this point. I was like, let's go. Don't care what anybody else says. This is great.
Well,
but what did you
so to
guys
clarify what he means by that, people, is that Justice League came out and it ruined it for about 4 or 5 years, and then we finally got Snyder Cut, and it was like, oh, this is all good again.
Yeah, well, they also fucked up the next movie, which we'll get to. But what did you guys think of Batman v Dawn of Justice? Hopefully, Ultimate Justice.
Oh, the next one is I keep thinking the next one is Wonder Woman, people, and it's not. It's Suicide Squad. They do.
There we go. Now it's coming around. So yeah, obviously next in line for the DCEU
that's not a
review and
foreshadowing for how forgettable it is.
Yeah. Next we obviously have the 2016, I believe, is when it came out. David Ayer. I'd almost feel bad for putting his name on this. His version, not his version. His theatrical version.
Brother's version.
Cut to shit.
Warner Brothers
reshot
version.
to shit. Yeah, the Warner Brothers version of 2016 Suicide Squad. Hashtag release the Ayer cut, even though he's given up on it. I'm release the Ayer. So we'll do that next. Then is it Justice League or Wonder Woman?
I think after Suicide Squad, it's Wonder Woman.
I think you're right.
Because I think they wanted to make sure Wonder Woman came out before Justice League did. Because they wanted to establish the big 3, right?
That sounds about right. Yeah, that sounds right.
Which, I won't lie, I kind of hope James Gunn does. I think he should always establish the big 3, but...
Same. You always got to establish the Trinity. So... Hopefully, well, see, it doesn't seem good unless she's just going to appear up in other projects, because her one project, that's not even her project, it's a prequel project to her whole lineage, is way down the line. So,
oh yeah,
hopefully she shows up. Superman Legacy, put her in there.
We got else in Superman Legacy. Fuck it,
fuck it, throw her in there. But yeah, if you'd like to continue on with this journey, next will obviously once again be Suicide Squad. So if you would, please give us a like, subscribe, ring the notification bell. KP, until next time, where can the people find you?
Okay, assuming this doesn't cut out this time, you can always find me at all socials at Politesk. It's my last name with a K at the end.
Link
you might have to do a little digging for Instagram. The link is in bio for Twitch. Well, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, we got
bio,
that.
description, whatever.
And then you can also find me on Twitch or Twitter, aka X gonna give it to you at Jsib20. Might be doing a name change soon. Might change it here soon. Might be your boy Jsib soon. I always lead off everything like that. But for now, at Jsib20. Again, links down in the bio. So until next time, thank you all very much for watching along. I'm your boy Jsib. See ya later.